Call from...
To me for just a minute. I've been moved to Omaha.
An inmate at the Douglas County Jail. To accept this call, press 0. To refuse this call, hang up or press 1. To prevent calls from this facility, press 9. This call is from a corrections facility and is subject to monitoring, recording, and the location of your phone will be obtained. For more information about our privacy policy, please visit www.connectnetwork.com. After the beep, press 5 to accept this call. This call is from a corrections facility and is subject to monitoring, recording, and the location of your phone will be obtained. Stay on the line to accept this call. Thank you for using TTL.
I don't consent to recording of my call. Anything else I need to know?
Well, I don't know how this... She didn't go into details about this Iron Eyes guy, but I was envisioning, and I don't know what will actually transpire, that Iron Eyes and his whole entourage will like march into that courtroom and, make a presence known about your status as an ambassador for American Indians. So we'll see. She also, mentioned a few other things that I just didn't quite comprehend, but she seemed very keen on you and very impressed with your stand. And I did get the bribery legalization within the United States Code to your friend, so I hope that he gets that to you tomorrow.
Thank you. One other thing, I have not been able to. I've sent all my information to the Office of Protocol, the State Department's office where you send the letter of credence, and I got a copy of the verification that Chief Stanley and then Grand Chief Stanley Stump sent that letter of credence to them, but I didn't know if anyone had received any response back, and if not, perhaps if maybe someone could try to call. I've tried to call many times as an after-hours number for the State Department. I would think that if nothing else, perhaps that after-hours number, the person there actually answered seemed to be kind of nice. They might be able to look it up and see if there's something and mention the urgency of the need to get recognition from the State Department is, very important. And if they can, let them know that I'd already applied for and received a confirmation, which is approval of the A1 visa. I just never had a shot at getting into one of the U.S. embassies or consulates to get it printed off, the official credential printed. But yet, it was approved, meaning that there shouldn't be a problem with getting recognition as the ambassador of another nation. Now, that seems to be the only thing to get this court to budge. But like you say, if they've got the ability to make a dime off of somebody like that, they're going to find ways around it. And I know that this lawyer that they forced upon me right from the very beginning, he is literally working against me, denying me the ability to testify before the jury is reminiscent of a Star Chamber court. They forced me to submit all of my proof and testimony via an offer of proof. So I was, working on that for the last couple of days and, up all night writing this stuff out. And I was blessed. I found a copy of an offer of proof that I submitted with a habeas corpus that I created last year, and I submitted that with it. And of course, the judge is basically not going to let the jury see any of that. And he said, you're not going to be able to tell the jury any of this stuff.
Well, Mike, the pattern that I'm seeing is that when the government labels you a sovereign citizen and you fall into what they deem to be that category, even if you don't self-identify as that, but if they call you that, then all kinds of triggers go into play. And this is the pattern I'm seeing. The lawyers, the defense, and the prosecution and the judge will get offered rewards for conviction. And so if they deem you somebody who's a threat to the establishment, then everybody involved in your case gets offered $25,000 rewards for your conviction, and they start working to that end. And you probably, if you can, try to get the judge on record and ask him if he gets financially incentivized for your conviction, and also apply that same question to your own lawyer and even the prosecutor.
Well, I did ask the judge judge on the record if he did not, was he not compensated by the United States of America? And he says, I'm not here to answer any questions.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but, you know, the problem is that for me and people like me that stand up for the truth and freedom and liberty, you know, when so many others won't stand up.
Yep.
And, you know, we speak out against evil and corruption and oppression, and when others, you know, remain silent. Like I said before, like the Tennessee volunteers at the Alamo, you know, those people were willing to fight against overwhelming odds to protect the innocent because it was the right thing to do.
Yep.
And in short, you know, patriots, as they are referred, they're just freedom-loving people that are independent, self-sufficient, self-governing. And that's what this old boy corrupt system hates. They fear people that don't need them, people that will not be enslaved to them. And most assuredly, they fear people that will not submit to them, but hate competition with God. There's this corporation posing as government. Their only power comes from a false belief that they're the government by the consent of the people, when in fact they're just a business, a corporation, a fiction on paper. They've got no more authority than Walmart. You know, the FBI is just another agency of the subcorporation of the United States government. And when people look it up and see that, you know, they're just upset because I'm exposing their secrets. You know, I've harmed nobody. I've done nothing to anybody. But by exposing these truths and bringing their secrets to the light of day, they view me as a threat to their business. The business of lying and cheating and stealing. You know, all the crimes they're committing against we the people. And, you know, this is the problem. We've got rigged elections, kangaroo courts, and they're controlled in the hands of these corporations. They've been doing this for a long time now. And, you know, when people like me speak out against it and try to expose a little bit of it, then I get hammered.
Yeah.
People like me get hammered. You know.
Yeah.
I try to expose how they're running human trafficking operations via the prisons for profits and then the pedophile-infested foster system. And, you know, that gets people upset because there's a lot of money that goes into that. But,
yeah, Mrs. Stump was talking about that, how they were trafficking the children of the American Indians, and that the Canadian government was involved in that, and that just made my stomach sick. But I know that goes on all the time. I mean, a common thread, a common pattern. It's really hard for, you know, good, wholesome people to believe that we're raised right, but a common thread really is these evil bastards in power and head of political institutions and, you know, government institutions and even business institutions. They are pedophiles. It's just the truth, and it's sick. You know, it's absolutely sick.
In 1 Samuel chapter 8, God said, follow him and warn the consequences of man putting man as a ruler over them. And today you look at your church and their 501c3 nonprofit corporations, they push submission of man in spite of God's spoken will. You know, today they preach Romans 13, render unto Caesar, regimented to satisfy their corporate masters. And, you know, they demand power and control and money. That's what it's all about. You know, they'll give the government slaves as long as they get a 10% gate admission. And through this, you know, manipulation of a belief system, they literally systematically eliminated the Native American culture of independence, self-sufficiency, and self-governance. And that's what the original patriots fought for. They fought a revolutionary war to have that, what the natives had forever.
Yeah.
Today, people like me and you and others are demonized. We're called domestic terrorists, sovereign citizens, and now we see that judges and prosecutors and attorneys are profiting off that in the system that they've created. But, you know, there was a civil war at one time, and people did try to stand up. And after that, after the people lost, well, they created the U.S. citizens. No longer were there Americans. They were citizen subjects. Of course, subjects were slaves. You know, we are the people. We, the people, are the sovereigns in our own right because, like God, we're sovereign over that which we created. And no one can create something and make you subject to it. That's not how it works. God bless you. I mean, I'm doing all I can. I'm speaking out. I'm fighting, and I'm risking being charged with contempt of court every time I open my mouth and object. But I'm going to keep doing it because I have to make my case. And even though, you know, he's already said he can give me up to 10 years, or we can enhance it. Of course, as I find out, now that they can enhance it up to effectively a life sentence, I guess, if they want to. They
Insanity.
do anything they want to.
Yeah. It's insanity. These people got no sense of justice at all, and it's all about power and submission. And
if the jury only knew what was going on behind their backs,
yeah,
if they only knew that they were not allowing me to present the proof that shows that this is a frame job. That's all this is. They're lying through their teeth. We've got the proof, and they won't let them see it. They're not going to let them know the truth. They won't let them know the definition of what a firearm actually is. They won't let them know that they did search that plane. They searched it sideways, and they made an inventory of the property in it. But they're not going to get to know that. And, of course, they wouldn't let me have this hearing over in the western part of the state where you got a bunch of farmers and people that value the Second Amendment, because they wouldn't stand for this in a heartbeat. They would say, not guilty quickly, because you got farmers out there like me that recognize the Constitution as the supreme law of the land. And, you know, though I'm an ambassador of another nation, I respect the Constitution. I follow the Constitution because it's the thou shalt nots against the government. It's the restraints that takes the government, puts it in a box so that it's there to protect our rights, not take them from us. But people have forgotten that. They don't even like me saying the word Constitution in the courtroom. They have a fit.
You know, in many of the trials, Ed and Elaine Brown, they would not let them even bring a constitution or even use any constitutional arguments in their trial, and that's why they stopped going to trial. And in another case, Mike, with Jeffrey Winehouse, they put a stun cuff on him, and they said, if you say anything that we don't like, we're going to press this button. And I think it was 80,000 volts, and the warning label said it can make you piss and defecate yourself, and it'll wind up in severe pain. I mean, these courthouses have, yeah.
And you're not talking about China or some third world country, banana republic. You're talking about the United States of America.
Missouri. It happened in Missouri. And guess what? I've learned these stun cuffs on defendants, it happens a lot more common than people know about.
Yeah. And here's the thing. We're really not defendants. That's a construct of theirs. We are free, live men and women. They're basically trying to make us a thing. And that's what a person is. It's a thing. And that's how they want to view you, to shut you up and to control you and put you in a cage and make money off you. I've already had 3 people now, 3 guards have quit after they learned what was going on. They made them sick.
Yeah.
I encouraged them and showed them how they could find jobs making probably just as much money and have the ability to sleep at night.
Yeah.
They quit. You know?
Well, they were involved in human trafficking. It should make them sick. And I would definitely look your lawyer in the eyes and say, do you have a financial incentive if I get a convicted? And just see, you can tell by his facial expression, you know, how he responds.
Yeah. He won't answer the question. I've asked him those questions already. He won't answer the question.
Wow.
He changes the subject. He
wow.
deflects and changes the subject. He will not answer that question. I filed notices with the court today that he effectively had never done anything. I've asked him since day one to provide me copies of everything in the file, and he's refused to do it. I've asked him to do research, to contact these people, do depositions. He's not done it. He's working against me.
Mike, can you imagine if you're a righteous lawyer and you're trying to do the best for your client as you can, and he says, are you financially incentivized if I get convicted, and you change the subject? I mean, if that ain't a mark of guilty, I don't know what is. You know, if I was the lawyer, and I would be a lawyer, but if I was, I would say, hell no, I want to get you off. I'm doing my best.
60 seconds.
Insanity. Insanity.
Get some rest.
Well,
get some rest, Mike. We're praying for you.
All right, thank you, and God bless everybody. I've been up since 4:30 this morning, and I'm fixing to go lay down for a little bit and then start again. But if you can get that previous call to everybody up north, everybody needs to hear that so they know that I had to go ahead and divulge that the item that I referenced, that's the contract. That's all the stuff that I had planned, that prepared for that timber deal that was ready to go. And I'd hoped that it would not fall into ill hands, that it would be sent on, but I don't know where it is now. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, we're going to pray for you that God's going to give the prosecutors diarrhea.
Amen.
Amen.
God bless you.
Okay, God bless you, Mike.
You have 1 minute remaining. Thank you for using GTL.
Oh, he says we have 1 minute remaining, and then it hung up on him.
I hope he poos his pants right in the.
Yeah, I hope he has explosive diarrhea and messes his pants, the prosecutor and the judge, right in the middle of court in front of everybody.